Today I want to touch on the war in Ukraine, and I also want to invite your thoughts about the intersection of in-person and online worship. Stay tuned. Hello friends, Pastor Tim Westermeyer here, Senior Pastor of St. Philip the Deacon in the western suburbs of Minneapolis. Good to be with you as always. Today I have a couple of things on my mind. The most important and most obvious, I suppose, is all of the events happening in Ukraine over the last couple of weeks. And I want to just lift up one small way here at St. Philip the Deacon that we are responding to that crisis, to that war. And that's by supporting our friends at Lutheran Disaster Response. We'll provide a link to how to get to that. And we've talked about this here in the congregation, but I'll mention it here as well. This is an organization that we encourage people to support at moments like this or other times of need. And I'm going to read you something that they sent out about how they are helping on the ground. Lutheran Disaster Response is accompanying our companions in Ukraine, Hungary, Poland, and Slovakia, as well as such ecumenical partners as Lutheran World Federation and Church World Service in their humanitarian response to the crisis. These partners provide refugees with immediate support and supplies such as food, blankets, water, and hygiene kits. So again, I'm just lifting that up as one way that you are welcome to help. Obviously, if you have other organizations you want to support, that's just fine. I'm not saying you should support this instead of them. I'm just lifting up that entire situation and all of those who are affected by it. And I would encourage us all, obviously, to keep it in our prayers. So that's the most important thing I want to say today. The other thing I'm thinking of has to do with, I guess I will call it the hybrid nature of church, which we've entered into, obviously as a result of the pandemic over the last couple of years. Here at St. Philip the Deacon, we moved to online-only worship in March of 2020. And since then, we've made a lot of adjustments and changes to that. We've been doing in-person worship since about Easter of a year ago, of 2021. And I'll start simply by saying we are committed here. I want to be very clear about this. We're committed to offering options to people both in person and online in the future. That said, in the last couple of weeks, there have been a couple of events related to worship that have happened that I'm just sort of sitting with a bit, I guess. The first of those would have been Ash Wednesday, so a little over a week ago, which was the first time here at St. Philip the Deacon that we invited people in the pews to come forward for any sort of sacramental act during worship. And on Ash Wednesday, of course, that was for receiving the ashes on the forehead. And I have to say, that's a very powerful and poignant and intimate moment, even in so-called normal times. But because it was the first time that people came forward, and we gave them the option, but I think pretty much everyone who was there at all three of the services we held came forward to receive those ashes. And after 2 years of people not coming forward for anything, it was particularly powerful and particularly poignant. And I found myself getting kind of choked up, which happens to me with some frequency during worship. But it was a really moving moment. And it struck me, I guess, that that's one thing you can't do virtually. The second thing that I'm thinking of is the night before we're taping this. So this would have been the Wednesday after Ash Wednesday. We held Holden evening prayer services, or a Holden evening prayer service. That's a particular liturgy we do. We only do it 5 times a year. And again, it's been 2 years since we've been able to do all 5 of those, and they are always preceded by a soup supper. This is during the season of Lent. And again, it was very well attended. People came for the soup. They came into the sanctuary for that beautiful evening prayer service. And once again, I was reminded of the power, I guess, of being together physically. So I guess I want to... As every church is doing these days, I'm just sort of sitting with that and trying to figure out as we live into the future, what does that balance of in-person versus online look like? And I would welcome your thoughts about this. Sort of over the last couple of years, what have you appreciated most about online services or other events related to either St. Philip the Deacon or the church you're part of? And what have you missed about being in person? And maybe if you've been returning to some in-person activities, how have those been different for you than online activities and experiences? Again, I want to state once more, we are committed to continuing to offer both of those options here, but I think it's important for us as Christians to reflect on why we're doing it and how we're doing it and what we offer online and what is offered maybe in person. And as one additional resource related to this ongoing conversation, I'll lift up two recent articles from the New York Times. One of these was published in late January. It's called Why Churches Should Drop Their Online Services. We're not doing that here. But it's by Tish Harrison Warren. It's an opinion writer at the New York Times. We'll provide a link to that article. And shortly after she published that, about a week later, this is the way the headline reads and what I printed out. I wrote last week about ending online church. Here's how readers responded. Some of whom said, agree with you. Some of whom said, I don't think you took into account X, Y, or Z, and here's why I think online church is still valid and important and meaningful. So again, we'll link to those, and I would love to hear your feedback about this, to hear your thoughts about it. I'm grateful here at St. Philip the Deacon that we've been able to offer both options, and again, as we look ahead to the future, we will continue to do that. I just want to be thinking about it as we live into this next chapter of church together, though. So that's it for today. Again, keep Ukraine in your prayers, and as always, be well, stay in touch, and God bless.